The new movie Toy Story 5 has returned to redeem itself after people are pissed off from the last sequel, and to drive down memory lane now that we're getting older, as you can tell by Woody's bald spot. So now that I've seen Toy Story 5, I will review, analyze, and give my final consensus if that movie felt much better than Toy Story 4. Toy Story 5 is the fifth installment of the Toy Story movie franchise, directed and written by Andrew Stanton and the cast of the Toy Story movies, including the fifth one, which is listed right here. So, what can I say about Toy Story 5 as an addition of the Toy Story movie franchise? What is new with Toy Story 5? Does it have that sentimental value like the rest of the movies? And how does number 5 differentiate from the four Toy Story movies? So let's start with the trailer. From what's happening, toys are now dealing with issues of technology, where people, or in this case children, are using it on a daily basis. And that is the main conflict that is going to play out in the movie. Initially, when I saw the trailer, I wasn't feeling confident by it because the movie is now focusing on the prime objective of technology taking over toys. In the case of Toy Story movies delivering stories that represents toys and their message on how toys are special. In this video that I made a few months ago, I have made my initial thoughts of the Toy Story 5 trailer and what I can get from it. The idea behind it was convincing as it resonates with today's generation, but it has caught my attention that the movie is going to focus on technology rather than the subject matter of toys. Technology with kids is a very strong topic and a good conflict as well. But if you take a look at the four Toy Story films, as it subjects toys as an appeal, the topic mainly focuses on wanting to get played, being unwanted, toys getting replaced by new ones, kids growing up, and it's all just toys having conflict with other toys, and endings that ends with toys defeating the villainous toys. So my preconceptions about toys and technology going together would sound like an easy win. Toys dominating technology wouldn't sound like it can lead to an effective conclusion, but a misconception behind its meaning because the meaning is already obvious and very common from personal experience. To reiterate, since that story is focusing on technology, toys defeating technology wouldn't sound effective at all because that topic establishes on practicality and what we do in our daily lives. So those are my initial thoughts coming from the trailer. And now that I've seen the movie, my mind has changed from what I anticipated. So here are my takes and analysis of Toy Story 5, taken by the references of Toy Story movies, of course, and other sources that are relevant. Let's begin this section with its setting. The setting surrounds the modern age of technology, where the movie referenced screen time addiction, social media toxicity, and apparently online meetings, including the setting of Jessie's past. Since Jessie is the main character, her past destinations are relevant in the movie's plot, like the tree with the tire swing where Emily and Jessie used to play. To rephrase everything that I point out, the setting of technology is the main reference point of the overall scope, and the setting of Jessie's past serves as the subject matter of the plot's depth. So the setting or the theme balances its message on what is objective in terms of practicality and subjective by its sentimental narrative. And moving on to their visualizations, specifically their animation designs, where there are two different art styles. You have the style of realism and the style of crayon strokes from what I can describe. But those two art styles has its purpose in storytelling, where the realistic styles depicts real life and the crayon styles depicts playtime and the imagination from it. So overall visualization was creative by design and imaginative by their storytelling, which is something that is new from Toy Story. For their movie experience from start to finish, There are cameos and hidden references from other Toy Story movies, where Toy Story 5 used the lines and the moments that are taken from it. To avoid further spoilers, I will show a 6-second preview of each reference that are encountered in the movie without any explanation. And here it is.
Watch yourself. Miles, who goes there?
Don't shoot! It's okay. Friends.
Do you know these life forms? No. Buzz, look, an alien! Where? Ah! Quick!
You calling me a liar?
Well, if the boot fits.
Say that again.
Just she and I together, like it was meant to be.
You killed my father!
No, Buzz. I am your father.
I don't know what came over me.
Just go with it, Buzz.
Trash? No. Toys. They're all toys.
And that's that. From what you've seen, those moments are noticeable in the movie, considering their subject matter of Jesse's reminiscence that I've mentioned earlier. So the experience was very nostalgic and poignant by how the movie effectively portrays those moments in their main story. Now for their main story, which I have so much to point out. First is their story depth about the dominance of technology. There was more conflict going around in the story, which are the causes and effects of the time consumption with technology, which correlates with Bonnie, and the priorities of interactivity, which correlates with the rise of tech and the fall of toys. From this research by the American Psychological Association, looking at their abstract, it states here electronics are everywhere and easily accessible to children. Parents report fears that screens cause social emotional problems. By social emotional problems, that could mean shyness, introversion, or lack of social interactions. Another that is relevant is by BMC Public Health. Looking at their third paragraph of their background, it states here extended screen time period and its potential disruption in the basic body rhythms of children, including the circadian and eating cycles, may lead to effects in sleep and nutrition. By lack of sleep, it's relevant in Bonnie's case, including the social emotional problems. There are also elaborations of cyberbullying by the use of technology or social media platforms. So the story laid out some objective details in its conflict by the different attention spans of toys and technology and how media consumption affects a child's confidence and mental health, which is overall very objectively effective. For the focus of nostalgia, which I've stated that Jessie is the main character and more of her past is driven, there was more details surrounding its sentiments with her owner, Emily. For example, there are narrative theories that surrounds with Jessie's past. Does Emily still love her toy Jessie? Does Emily still remembers her childhood with Jessie? And other theories that goes along with it. Without going to further detail, the movie elaborated those details upon Jessie's character development, which that moment made it sentimental and very rewarding to know the truth. For their conflict of toys and technology, since the iteration is how does it settle by their conclusion. So, with that thought of toys and technology, the question is how will the story settle things? Maybe a fair conclusion of toys and technology, or maybe a conclusion that is accepted by fate. Whatever it may be, hopefully it can be answered once the movie is released. And apparently, it was a fair conclusion, which toys and technology had a win win situation to focus on another conflict, which is Bonnie and her attachment to technology. So, overall, the message of the story was meaningful and well emphasized, with something that is objective by evidence and subjective by narrative. Those are my positives of the story, but there are also negatives that I can clarify. First is the character relevance. There are a lot of characters that appeared, but very few are utilized. You have characters in the main story, characters in minor interactions, and characters that did nothing at all, where some didn't even say a word, which is kind of a missed opportunity because those established characters didn't make any iconic moments, and they resorted to becoming useless and mainly for appearances. Another gripe would be their conflict delivery, which is moderately elaborated and more driven to nostalgia. To reiterate, what I mean by moderate is that it felt less dramatic and excessively positive. So there could have been a little bit of balance between nostalgia and its conflict. To point out some brief examples, Jesse's initial hatred of tech was minimal, which is part of the developing conflict. And Lilypad, who is the antagonist, felt mild to showcase its convincing factor as a bad guy. Maybe more lines or some sequences that are disruptive and drive more in their conflict aspect. So, my overall analysis of the story is that it was very focused on poignancy of its past, and its message of technology serves as a setting to drive more depth and the disadvantage behind it. That's it for my analysis. Now for my final verdict. Toy Story 5 displays the scope of the modern times, which technology becomes very common for most people, while at the same time reminiscent by past memories, where its conflict defines its cause and effect, recurring past details defining the main character's development, and imagination by the animation art styles, which the story was well emphasized by practicality, nostalgia, and emotional depth. By the characters, since some are involved in the main story, some resulted to being unutilized for any memorable moments. And by conflict, the story limits its depth and aspect for the purpose of walking down memory lane. And with that, this is my final rating for this movie, 4 and 1/4 or 4.25 out of 5 stars. So my overall thoughts turned out to be satisfying at the end, since that movie had more to show by the history and details that was taken from the past Toy Story movies, and real life evidence by modern day society, which the movie did achieve upon those goals. So overall opinion was pretty positive.
We did it! We did it!
Now, to my conclusion, would I say it's better than Toy Story 4? By my standpoint, yes. But does it sit tightly on the Toy Story trilogy? Not quite. As I said before, it has its limitations of their conflict, especially the main antagonist of Toy Story 5, where it mildly provides its depth for a more immersive experience. But in all honesty, I would be a liar if I say this movie, including the fourth one, is not meant to exist because 1, 2, and 3 are the best ones. But it all comes to how it provides its meaning and what you can get from it. Additionally, I would like to ask, how do you feel about Toy Story 5? And if you've seen it, what is your take from it? Please do comment down below. And that's it for this video. I hope this video brought you some clarity as much as the film did. Thank you for sticking around. Have a blessed day.